Okay, there we go. Always a little bit of an awkward silence just before you go live. So,
Ooh, ooh,
hey
ooh.
guys, what is going on? Thank you so much for joining here today. Today we've got James Smiley joining us. James, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this call today.
What's up? What's going on, you
Yeah.
guys? My man, what's going on, man?
Good.
How are you?
Guys, I'm super thrilled to have James here. James is like just one of these guys that that I've looked up to for a long time, been following his content. So I'm like super stoked to have him here sharing his gift with all of us. So if you are joining here today, make sure that you're dropping a hashtag live if you're watching live. And if you're watching this on replay, drop hashtag replay. The more people engage, the more people get to see this, and the more people we get to help. So let's make sure that we are dropping the comments, we're dropping the hearts. I'd love for you guys to be fully present, take a lot of notes. James has guaranteed me that he's going to be dropping some crazy knowledge and gold on this call. So James, over to you, man. Like, if you would, for those that don't have the privilege of knowing you yet, could you just give him a little bit of background?
Man, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the welcome and all that stuff. It's awesome, man. You guys are doing awesome out there. It's the power of technology, man. You're all the way around the world on the different side of the hemisphere. And
yeah, man, it's amazing.
That's awesome, man. It's really cool. So, yeah, I mean, just for people who may not know, I grew up in Seattle, grew up really poor, really poor. I used to grocery shop with my parents I had $6. We had $6 a week to shop for a family of four, which in America, that's nothing. I mean, I remember, being I literally remember being a kid, like 6, 7 years old. I vividly remember like seeing shopping carts full of groceries, and everything in there was over $5 or $6. And I remember thinking, Mom, we have $5 or $6 for all of our food. And so, yeah, I mean, it was really tough growing up, but I was really fortunate, man. I worked really hard. I just believed in opportunity, even though I grew up really poor. And so I made my first 6 figures when I was 20, selling B2B. I started using technology. And it wasn't even called digital marketing back then, but I was sending emails. Basically, I was in B2B. Instead of knocking on doors, I was sending email. I remember my boss, and I love my boss back then, but he was good. He said, man, nobody wants to get your email, man. Nobody wants to check your email. And so, nobody knew that's what I was doing. I was sending email and I was crushing it. I literally was like the top seller on a lot of sales teams just by doing stuff like that. I was using technology. And then I went out to help start a company called Telenav. We were the first version of Google Maps. So we were like cycle 0 of Google Maps.
Wow.
We were the first navigation mobile app. So we raised $133 million in venture capital. We IPO'd the company. It was a Silicon Valley startup. It was one of the most successful Silicon Valley startups of all time. Excuse me. And then once that happened, kind of in my early 20s, mid to late 20s, it was kind of like you could really do anything at that point because, there was just startups and .coms and all this stuff was really big and social media was just getting started. And so I went in to do a lot of consulting kind of in my mid to late 20s. And I was just helping a lot of grow a lot of companies that were 1 to 5 person companies, mostly pre-revenue companies starting up, anything from, healthcare products to technology to, trying to start .coms, helped a lot of .coms, ended up coaching over 560 B2B companies. We also started running a digital marketing agency once like 2008 started hitting 2009. That's kind of when Facebook and stuff kind of went big with social media. And one thing about me that a lot of people know is I try to move toward the leverages. I learned really young that like if you work in a market where there's a lot of leverage, you can get a lot of return for the same amount of hours. And every single person has the same amount of hours. You do, I do, Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, anybody. Like, everyone's got the same amount of hours. So if you can create more leverage, you can make more money, and then you can serve more people, live a life, and all those kind of things, a little bit easier and quicker than the other way. So I always tried to move where the leverage was. So I moved into social media around 2009, started agency, and we crushed it. Eventually, we were doing, $100 to $350,000, deals, which is still not that much, believe it or not. But for, being like a 5 to 6 man team, doing 7 figures, 6 out of 8 years, it was awesome, And then around 2015, I had kind of a life incident with some family. I had someone pass away, just like it was like a shocker. And I started realizing, like, life is short, man, and you start seeing like, man, everyone like ends up kind of in the same spot, at some point, whether you're 60, 80, 90, whatever, 100, 150, whatever. So like, like I started realizing, like, man, I'm going to be 40 in 5 years. And so I was like, I've always been willing to take that big gamble and, go after what I'm ultimately called to do, and so, but, you don't really know when you're young, right? You're just trying stuff. You think this, think that, you try stuff. But one thing that I knew around I started learning this around 2012 in 2013 was that there was going to be a massive upcurrent in entrepreneurism. In that, when I started in the year 2000 doing entrepreneur work, I mean, I literally remember telling people, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. And I remember people looking at me like, what, you can't get a job? You couldn't graduate college? Like, what's wrong with you, dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't cool, okay? Like, if you were an entrepreneur, you're like, the only cool entrepreneurs were like billionaires. But if you weren't a billionaire and you said you were an entrepreneur, basically you were saying that you can't get a job. Whereas now, like, man, it's like, you play basketball, you're an entrepreneur. You write a song, you're an entrepreneur. You change your Facebook profile, you're an entrepreneur. But the reality, I think, of entrepreneurism in our day is that 95% of people who call themselves entrepreneurs are not actually entrepreneurs, and that's not a knock on them or anything. They're more of what I would call proprietor. They kind of run and operate a business. But an entrepreneur is somebody who actually can stomach the downside and can take the risk and those kind of things, So and that should let people know, and hopefully that brings comfort to a lot of people that you don't have to be an entrepreneur in the world to be successful or whatever. And when I was younger, I used to think that, I used to think everybody needs to be like me, but as you grow, you start to realize, like, there's different types of people, and not everyone can be the same. So anyway, as I knew entrepreneurism was gonna have a rise, because I started seeing that technology was going to equip entrepreneurs like never before. I mean, look at us right now. Like, you're on the other side of the world, bro. You know what I mean? Like, learning from people all over the world. We're sharing knowledge right now. I'm going to share stuff in systems and processes right now that literally, have helped some of my students go from 0 to 6 figures in like 30 to 90 days. I'm going to share like 3 really big systems in ways that people can do it. But see, this stuff wasn't possible even 5 years ago, even 7 years ago, like, it was very difficult to like, maybe we had Periscope or something, but like, now that, this is on Facebook and technology and mobile, I mean, there's people who are probably going to be like driving down the road watching this, you know what I mean? So just the technology and capabilities, things like ClickFunnels, Shopify, Amazon FBA, all these things have enabled people to do things that they couldn't do 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I knew this was going to happen. I knew like millions of people were going to want to start a company out of their home. They were going to have a passion, an idea, a cause, something. They want to be a speaker, an author, an internet, do something on the internet, whatever. But they were going to need systems, processes, and they were going to need someone to guide them and coach them and encourage them, because see, that's what all great entrepreneurs have. It doesn't matter who you talk to, Russell Brunson to whoever you idolize, okay? They all had amazing mentors and coaches. But all these like millions of people coming up, they have, because there's so many, the number one mistake entrepreneurs make is they think they can do it all alone. They think they can run the tech side and be the visionary and take care of the client and run the finance. You know what I mean? And that's exactly why the company never goes anywhere. It's not that they're not smart enough. It's not that they're not skilled. It's not that, the universe or God didn't call them to do what they're supposed to do. It's like, they're just trying to do everything themselves, And so anyway, so any questions people have, tell them to, all y'all drop your questions. I'm not going to hold anything back on this one. I'm going to treat everyone like you're a $30,000 coaching student on this call. So make sure you drop your questions, and we'll add as much value as we can here for you guys.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. Yeah, guys. So, one of the biggest objectives of this call today is to give you guys the tools that you need to kind of take your business to the next level. So, make sure that you are engaging, you're asking the questions that you have, while we've got James on here to answer it for you live. And it's about kind of like James and I kind of discussed a little bit about trying to give you guys some actionable guerrilla marketing tactics to kind of get you unstuck. Maybe you are doing less than 10K per month and you're kind of like figuring out your product, your messages, all those types of things. Like, James, what do you think would be a good start for these people just starting out with the least amount of tech overwhelm? Kind of, what do you think is the simplest way for them to actually get some traction as a coach or consultant?
I think there's a couple things that I would say is to, everyone wants to jump out and immediately throw out an offer and all that stuff. And actually, I highly encourage that. I always say fastest way to the cash, right? This is a core principle of my coaching. There's two core principles. One is we always do fastest way to the cash. Okay. We never try to build, think, like in corporate, you might call this like minimum viable product, MVP, agile product development, that kind of thing. In entrepreneurism, we just say fastest way to the cash, man. So that's one thing. The second thing is focus on highest leverage moves. So throughout your entrepreneur venture, okay, you're going to come to forks in the road where you can do A, B, or C. And you always want to do and think what gives me the most leverage, not necessarily what's best for me in the short term, not necessarily what gives you most leverage may actually be the second thing, the thing that makes you the second biggest amount of money. Okay, so but if you focus on highest leverage moves, it may make you a shorter income stream in the first month, but at 3 to 6 months down the road, it has a hockey stick effect if you know how to create leverage. So those are two core principles, and they really work in tandem together. I think everyone should have those written down. I mean, I have them written down on a sticky note on my dang computer still, and I've had them for years because it's difficult, to like think about that every single day, right? You see all this stuff, you see Facebook Lives, you see people talking about everything. One person's telling you email's the answer, another person's telling you doing offers is the answer, another one's telling you funnels is the answer. And, it's like, what do I work on? You know what I mean? But you want to work on things that create income quickly. And here's the thing with income is that if this is proven in entrepreneurism, I learned this in my 20s with small startups, is if I can get the company to start doing $1,000 a month, then my next goal becomes to get them to do $1,000 a day. Now you're a real company, because now you're going to be doing like $300,000-$400,000 a year. And now we can focus on like, how do we take you to $1 million once we can get you $1,000 a day? But like, what I found is if you don't do that $1,000 a month, if you're always trying to do the $1 million product launch or, build the whole product, I have people who come into our coaching, pay a ton of money, and they're like, I'm ready to launch in 6 months. And I'm like, dude, I'm ready to make you money right now. And if I can make you money right now, the momentum, the optimism, and the way that you will think, and also what you will learn will so far outpace you waiting 6 months that it's not even worth me coaching you if you want to wait 6 months. You know what I mean? That's not real entrepreneurism, And so, and people have hangups and reasons why they don't want to do that, and it's typically around, their insecurities, or they want to be a perfectionist and those kind of things. But I can tell you for sure, your customer, there is a subset of your customers that are ready to go right now, and you should try to serve them right now. Because ultimately you want your customer making decisions about your business, about your processes, about your product. If you think that in this day and age that you can brainstorm everything, you're taking a huge gamble, a huge risk, right? Like you really need to anyway, so I won't go too much further down that path, but but I think that's one really big fundamental. Okay. To move on to some other practical systems. Okay. Once again, guys, drop some comments in and drop some questions in about your business, what you do. Tell me what you do. Tell me where your hang up is. Are you struggling with leads? Are you struggling with content? What are you struggling with? Okay. Let me know, and I'll answer, I'll get you guys all in order. So one of the biggest things that every single, you guys have coaches and consultants and stuff like that. One of the biggest things that y'all need to do is leverage social media. Okay. It's funny. It's like, what is it, like 2019? So it's like over 10 years since I've been consulting in social media. That's crazy. Over a decade. Like paid consulting, not like telling my grandma about it. Okay. So like, it staggers me that I'm still saying the same thing. Okay. Which is, if you're not getting traction on social media, it's only because of two things. Okay. Either one, what you're saying, so your message or your audience. Okay. Either your message no one cares about and you need to change that. You need to make a shift in what you're saying. Okay. Or two, you're just not talking to the right person. Okay. And here's what I mean. People say, well, James, I did this. I followed the system. This is a scam, man. Like no one responds. Like I only got 100 people to view my video. Well, here's the thing. Okay. Who do you have who follows you on Facebook? You know what I mean? Like if you, like Facebook allows you to have 5,000 followers right now. If you're serious about your business, I would challenge you to use Facebook to run your business as your number one marketing vehicle. And I'll tell you why. Over paid ads and all those other things, like especially if you're just starting out. I mean, on this show, we're focusing on guerrilla marketing. Okay. If you want to make your first $100,000, you absolutely should use Facebook. And the reason I specifically call out Facebook is because of its size, its capabilities, its innovation. LinkedIn, possible, very possible there. I would say YouTube, possible there as well. A little bit longer return, but possible, very possible there. And then maybe Instagram as well. But I think for coaches and consultants, Facebook is clearly the best place for almost every industry. And so let me put it to you this way. So I had a Fortune 10 Facebook rep. Okay. I did consulting for Facebook Messenger, paid consulting for Facebook Messenger, AT&T, which is a Fortune 10, and in Amazon, I did what's called Amazon Locker. Okay. So 3 Fortune 10s. So what I can tell y'all from all that is I had this lady named Camille. She's a top Facebook rep. Okay. She only deals with like Coca-Cola, AT&T, like big accounts. Okay. But she told me that for the average person in America, okay, and this is probably around the world, but your Facebook personal page but what I'm about to share with you guys is literally gold, could literally change your business right now if you get this concept. Your Facebook personal page will be the highest value marketing asset you will ever own in your entire life. You will never have a website with more traffic, more clicks, more video views, more likes, more engagement, more followers, more consistent followers, more daily follow. Like, there will never be anything in your life. Okay. Now, if you're Russell Brunson or whatever, yeah, sure. Maybe, you can throw up your own .com or your own funnels and drive, $20,000 of traffic a day or whatever you want to do. And yeah, you could probably do that. But you have to understand, okay, like, we're not talking about building 10, 20, $30 million companies right now. We're talking about getting to six figures, multi-six figures, that kind of thing. There's no reason why you shouldn't add 5,000 potential clients to your Facebook page and set up your Facebook page to market to them. Now, the proprietors who are calling themselves entrepreneurs, I love y'all to death, but you're gonna go, well, so it's always there, those people are always like thinking of, they're afraid of the risks, right? So the first thing they're gonna say is, well, Facebook terms and conditions say you can't sell. Well, here's the thing. Number one, Facebook is not gonna come arrest you and handcuff you. Okay, it's not a felony. Okay, so here's the worst case scenario is they shut your Facebook page down, and then guess what you do? You start another one. Okay, like, do you know? Like, I could name 30 or 40 big entrepreneurs who have had their Facebook page shut down, and guess what? They're still on Facebook. They just start a different account. Okay, like I don't know if anyone following has ever worked for a big company and worked or engaged with the fraud department. But the fraudsters, like, you could go fraud Facebook. I remember like AT&T big time, right? It's like cell phones. We've got all these people like cloning phones. Like, it's huge. Fraud is huge with cell phone companies. They're not trying to ban you for life because they realize in 2 to 3 years, you might start actually paying for service. So like, what I mean? You're never blacklisted for life with any company, literally, unless you're like, robbing them or whatever. So what I'm saying is, with people like Facebook and stuff, I mean, trust me, they're going to let you start a Facebook account like within 10 seconds. Okay. Like, so that's worst case scenario. Now, I am not advocating that you break terms and conditions or that you get your Facebook account shut down, because it is kind of a pain in the neck to like restart again, but it's not the end of the world. But what I would say is just market and just add value and just use it as like a training page and just tell people what you know. The biggest issue with coaches and consultants is no one has a clue what you know. You know what I mean? That is seriously the biggest issue. Like, you tell people what you do, but you don't show them what you know. And, you should be doing trainings and whiteboard sessions. You don't have a whiteboard, you should schedule. Look, if you're in the US, you should schedule 2 sessions a week with your local library. They have whiteboards and private rooms, and go there and do whiteboard sessions, Facebook Live whiteboard sessions twice a week from your public library for free. Okay. If you don't have that, I mean, just use your phone, go for a walk, whatever you need to do, but you should be so once again, message what you should be talking about, right? And number 2, the followers. You have to have people who potentially would want to work with you, potential clients. You have to have them following you. The reason why no one engages is because you got nothing but your cousins and your grandma watching your Facebook Live, and you got like 3 potential clients watching, right? And the game changes significantly when you have thousands of people who potentially would buy from you. See, so at that point, friend requesting them, that's like getting them into your retail store if you have a retail store, right? Now it's everyone knows in retail, if everyone says, man, if I can get them in the store, I can sell them something. But see, in Facebook, people don't see it that way. They're like, well, I'm putting out promotions, I'm talking about stuff, but no one's buying. Well, no one's buying because there's no one in the store. That's why no one's buying. You got to friend request people who are potential clients. And so let's take, for instance, like I was doing coaching with a real estate person the other day. And I was like, dude, you need to focus on you need to go into Facebook groups with people who are who post pictures of their homes. There's tons and tons and tons of Facebook groups of people who post pictures of their homes, their patios, their pools, whatever. And you need to friend request all those families. And then so the type of content you need to put out, and I'm going to use something practical like a realtor, is you should be talking about, hey, I walked into this home and the first thing that people notice is the foyer when you walk in. And so it should be this and clean and like this, and just giving out tips, right? Just sharing what you know. And instead of being that person who's always saying, hey, I got a listing. Hey, I got a listing on the market. Hey, I mean, yeah, put that out there too, but you should be adding value, right? You should be just being in top of mind with people like, oh, that's a really good tip. Oh, people are like, hey, if you want to sell your house in the next year or two, make sure you do this with your lawn. Make sure you do this with your foundation of your house. Make sure you think about this. Make sure if there's a hailstorm, make sure you, get your insurance money, but also use it to paint your fence. Like, you know what I mean? Like just giving daily or weekly tips like this can completely, like it will make you the real estate consultant, basically. You know what I mean? And now when somebody goes to sell their home, guess who's top of mind? It's going to be you. So another really big thing is that people wonder, like, how do I set myself apart, right? Like, this is a really big thing. And so the question becomes like, how do we teach people to make their competition irrelevant? By the way, this right here could make y'all a lot of money if you seriously take this to heart. Okay. Is like, you have to understand that like what you ultimately do is not coach and consult. Okay. And when you see it as I'm a coach or a consultant, yes, you're just everyone else. Okay. But you're so much more than that, and the reason why I've been able to grow this practice. I mean, like, I'm just gonna be honest. Like I've had gurus in the industry come to me and they're like, dude, who the hell are you? I had somebody tell me that one time. They're like, you out of nowhere. This is like a couple of years ago. They're like, within 2 years, Russell Brunson's talking about you, all this stuff. You're on his Facebook. You're on his, I'm still featured on clickfunnels.com for a $1.7 million webinar. They're like, who the hell are you, dude? Like, and they're also kind of like, how many corporate, consultants and those kind of people became coaches and got big, And so, they're like, not many make that transition. And so, the biggest thing that I focused on, and the reason why it literally doesn't matter, when you get big, you're gonna have everything from haters to people, analyzing everything you do, to it's just standard, right? It just comes with the business. To people who, but you'll have a subset of people who buy products for whatever reason, don't like it. And, now they feel like you're responsible for their result, when it's like, dude, like in sports, right? Like if I'm a quarterback or a running back or whatever, or a baseball player and I strike out, like, for a baseball, no baseball player strikes out and then goes back to the coach and complains. Right. Yep. It's like, dude, you should have tried harder in practice. Therefore, you would hit the ball more, and the guys and gals who hit the ball more, they actually practice more, but see, and this is the sign of a proprietor. And the difference between a proprietor and an entrepreneur is a proprietor, when things get difficult, as ambitious and as outgoing as they are, they crumble. And typically it's their mindset that crumbles, and they immediately start looking for who to blame, but they really should always blame themselves. And also that doesn't mean that, there is bad coaching out there, right? There could be bad advice. any coach who's going to be honest, including me, would say that there's been times when you've given advice that could have been better. But that's not the point of coaching. The point of coaching is not to be perfect. You know what I mean? The Hall of Fame coaches in sports, they weren't perfect. It's not about being perfect, right? It's about teaching people to go out in the game and make decisions in real time on their own. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I had a meeting with Mark Cuban from Shark Tank one time, and I asked him, I said, like, what's the biggest thing that you look for in an entrepreneur, especially on Shark Tank? And he said, the biggest thing I look for is somebody who knows how to solve their own problem. I'm telling you, that staggered me for a second, because I was like, that is so true. That he's like, look, everyone has a good idea. Everyone has a good product. Everyone, like, that stuff's not hard nowadays, especially with technology and hacking and all this stuff. Like, it's not hard to, like, hey, I want to, I don't know, like, I want to build pools in backyards, or I want to build cars. Like, just go find the best car manufacturer and one up him, and boom, you got a good car. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not that hard to come up with a good product nowadays. But the question, and can you build the business, is, do you know how to solve problems on your own? Or when something goes wrong, when the pressure gets tough, when the anxiety, all those things hit, are you going to blame the government, your mom, your cousin, your coach, your, like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you have to be the CEO of your own business. And if you're going to blame someone else, you're not CEO, and you're giving them CEO rights. And that's why you can't win. And so, you know, a CEO, the buck stops there. Everyone knows that, right? You go to any big corporation, you want to know why there's more turnover in Fortune 500 CEOs in the history of tracking that stuff. There's more turnover right now because the accountability and the buck always stops with the CEO. You know what I mean? And entrepreneurs need to get that it does. You look, it literally does. It is a reflection on you. If you hired somebody or outsourced to somebody or did something, like, it's a reflection on you, the CEO. It's not someone else. You know what I mean? So anyway, I know we're a little bit down a tangent there, but let me kind of circle back on some of the systems I wanted to drop. There's another system I wanted to drop about a lot of people. Yeah. So I'm gonna just drop another one, just because I don't know if I fully
please go for it, man. Like, hey guys, if you're getting value here, please drop #value or drop a flame. You know, we'd love to get more engagement, so that more people can see this, so that more people can be helped. So come on, guys, let's see some love in the comments below for all the gold that James is sharing here today.
One of the things, just to kind of round out that topic, I wanted to mention everybody is like when you see your business as more than just being a coach or a consultant, right? More than just being a realtor, more than just being a digital marketer, more than just like when you see it as like, what are you actually doing? What are you fundamentally doing? What do you this is a good question. This is like a Tony Robbins question. What are you ultimately doing? Right? I'll just ask you, just to use you as an example. What do you coach and consult on?
Well, helping coaches kind of generate clients using digital marketing systems.
So if you help them create digital marketing systems and help them, what does that ultimately do for them?
And helps them get consistency with their revenue so that they can live the life they want.
And if they get the revenue and live the life what they want, what does that really mean to them? What does it mean to them if they live the life that they want?
Well, it means freedom ultimately, like probably the core stuff, you know, freedom. It means that they are able to build better relationships because they don't have to worry about money, and you know.
And if they build that life where they have relationships, they have freedom, they sense that, what does that mean to them? What does that ultimately mean to them?
So yeah, it kind of goes deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
So keep on asking the why.
Yeah. So you, so really, there's a theory that you should ask that about 5 to 7 times, because I bet you the next question, the next answer was probably going to be the money. Sooner or later, you're going to get to something that is like, they'll feel like they accomplished what they're supposed to do in the world. Or, you know what I mean? It's going to come down to some true core value of being a human being. And like, and if you can't get there, folks, then you need to go do something else, because you're not actually doing it to help people. And that is like, and also if you have a mental block, like you can't actually answer the question further, you should seriously do some self-analysis there, because that is also a reason why you can't grow right now, is because you don't actually see it from your customer's perspective and what it ultimately means. Okay. So when I was talking to this realtor the other day, there's a realtor who paid for an hour of my consulting. And I told him, I said, look, man, if you're telling me that you're just one of many realtors, then yeah, there's no way for you to be different, but you're not doing that. Okay. You're putting somebody in so the person sells homes in kind of North Dallas here. And I said, look, do you understand that the difference between me, my family picking a neighborhood could be the difference between my kids getting a better education, having friends who don't screw around, having my kids could possibly, you know, have better morals or values that are more aligned with me. They could, let's say certain families are really into sports. This is Texas. So like that could be the difference between your kid getting a scholarship opportunity, being able to play in a varsity sport. It could be the difference between your wife or you sleeping better and feeling better every single night, having you know what I mean? That's what you're really selling. And so when you market yourself that way, and when you change your brand to like really understand who your client is, no one can compete with that, because every single person, like even if every person were smart enough to do that, every person is different fundamentally, right? And so people are going to be attracted to people who are trying to sell within niches. And like this is how, instead of being in a broad niche, you start to develop these little sub niches that you serve, and you become really good, and you can go really deep and wide in those sub niches, because you continually ask yourself, what am I ultimately doing for the client? What am I ultimately doing? When you really answer that question, you have this magnetic effect starts to happen, where this is what Dan Kennedy used to call it, where like when you keep asking yourself that question, you basically sub niche yourself without even trying to. And now people within those niches and those sub niches magnetically are attracted to you, because you're speaking their language. You understand the value that they get, you know, like it's not just like, so another thing he said was, you know, the most hurtful thing in the industry is like, you do work for somebody and then they go to someone else. They go buy the home from someone else. I said, well, that's your problem. And he said, how's that my problem? I said, because you should have the balls enough to ask the client and say, look, I promise you, this is my promise to you, Mr. Client, that I am going to take care of you, that I'm going to serve you, that I'm going to find you the place that's going to give you the solitude, the chance for your children to do this, that's going to give you, you know, the closest place to your work, that's going to give you the highest net returns long term, like whatever they want. Okay. I'm going to give you all those things, Mr. Customer, and you're going to have my attention. You're going to have my cell phone number. You're going to have my time. And so is that what you want in a realtor? Oh yeah. So I would love that. Okay, awesome. The only thing that I ask for return with my clients is that you give me the common courtesy and respect to help you find that home, and that if you see another property or whatever, that you call me first, and that you don't, you know, go off and work with someone else. So can we so basically you get that agreement done early in the relationship. And I can tell you that, yeah, you will still have like 10% of people who will scam you, but for the most part, most people, that is the relationship in the care that they want. Also, by the way, this is the difference between a client and a customer. Okay. Fundamentally, and by definition, what I just said, that is a client. A client is somebody who by definition, it's someone who's under your care. It's someone who you're overseeing, you're guiding, you're protecting. Use the words like protection, right? Who's under your protection. A customer is just transactional. Hey, you need a home? Yeah. Okay. What do you need? What size? Like, it's all transactions, right? It's just like, just give me the data. Okay, I'll go find. Here's 6 leads. Look at those 6 leads. If you like one, get back to me. I'll show you like, that's just all transactional. That's customer, and that means you're competing with every Joe Schmo out there. You know what I mean? Yep. So all these principles, folks, completely align with being a consultant. Completely align, right? Like you have got to see, what are you ultimately doing for the company, for the organization? This is very true in B2B. I know there's going to be a lot of B2B consultants in here. You are probably ultimately serving whoever the buyer is, whoever the teams of people who are going to work with you. And many times you're not actually serving the bigger brand or the bigger vision, because I can tell you for sure, people in middle management and things like that will hire a consultant to make them look good so that they can get ahead in their career. So you have to clearly understand that you see a lot of young consultants come in. I used to do this when I was young, and I used to tell a middle manager or a director or an exec, like a associate director or associate executive or whatever. Like, I tell them, like, here's how you make a difference in your whole company. And I tell them the whole vision of the company. But you have to understand, that person is only focused on getting to the next rung on the ladder of their career. And so they want you to make them look good. And so you have to ultimately understand, like, who are you really serving? Yep. You know what I mean? Because if you start talking about all this big space age stuff, innovation, all this stuff, when their metric that they're being measured by is online sales, and you're talking about like product development strategies, you're literally barking up a tree. You're not being a good consultant at that point, you know? So, okay, cool. I think we hit that one pretty good on the head. Another really quick thing I wanted to tell people is, this is something I normally don't share unless you're a paid consultant, okay, or you're paid with us. But I'm going to just drop this for you guys. One of the biggest things people struggle with in entrepreneurism is managing their life day to day. This is one of the biggest issues, okay, is how do I manage my day, okay? So many people are like, oh man, I just don't have time for this, okay? You need to stop telling yourself that. That is, number one, that is delusional. It's not true. It's not that you don't have time. It's just you don't have priorities, okay? Now, don't let that beat you up. I'm not beating you up about it. I'm just saying you don't have priorities, okay? Do you think Steve Jobs built his company or anybody you look up to, okay? Do you think they built their company because they had a 40-hour day? No, they had 24 hours just like you. You know what I mean? So like they just had different priorities, okay? So there's a system, like a 3-step system that I use for managing the day. And this will help you hit goals, because hitting goals is how you ultimately see a grand vision accomplished. Okay, so I'm going to go through this quickly. So number one, like I've got it right here on my whiteboard. You have to have your big goal for the month written down. Okay, so this is number one. I've got it right here on a sticky note, this one, and I've got it right here on my board. Okay, so I can see it. So I always know for the month, what is my big goal for the month, okay? Here's the thing. You want this to be one thing, not 5. Doesn't mean you're not going to accomplish 5 things. I'm just saying, what's the big goal, okay? How I learned this is, because everyone's going to go, well, I don't know what the big goal is. Okay, well, here's the thing, okay? A great analogy, a phenomenal analogy is, think about an airport. Okay, you have all these planes coming into land. I heard this at a conference one time. I was like, dude, this is the best analogy ever. Which is the most important plane? If you're the air traffic controller, which one is absolutely by far and away the most important?
The one touching down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's only one plane touching down at a time. Everyone get that through your head, okay? You can't land all the planes like boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? There's only one. Do you ever notice that? Okay, everyone should see that. Like even airports in the US, they have like runways that go like this. They don't land two planes crisscrossing each other. One goes this way, the other one goes this way. Then there's only one at a time. Okay. That is a great analogy of how you run your business as an entrepreneur. You have got so many things to work on, right?
Yep.
But you can only land one damn plane at a time. Stop trying to freaking land them all. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I promise you, if you land one, then guess what? There's another one. Like you're never short, right? You're never short on things to do, funnels to build, emails to send, Facebook Lives to do. You're never short. Just focus on one. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Write that out very clearly. The second thing is you have to decide what are we call them daily wins is what we call them. Okay. Another way to say it would be daily activities, but I like to call them wins because when you accomplish an activity, I want you as an entrepreneur to think about it as a win. I want you to go like, I did a Facebook Live today. Win. I wrote an email. Win. Not I accomplished a task. I you know what I mean? Like when you see it as a win, you're like, yes, like it's different in your head, you know? The other thing is when you accomplish something like traditionally you might say it's an activity or it's a milestone or whatever, but you should call it a win because when you win, you want to celebrate, do something. Look, I don't care if you like celebrate could be like you, I don't know, man, I might like go walk my dog. You know what I mean? Or I might go take a break for 30 minutes, or I might go swim in my pool, or call a friend, or watch a movie, or you know what I mean? But like you have to see every little thing as a win. This is, by the way, this is like so fun. Like Brian Tracy, a lot of these high performance guys, Brendan Burchard, this is fundamentally what they teach is write out your goals. There's actually three things that they fundamentally teach. They word it different and come up with their own way to say it, but it's the same three things. It's write out your goals, organize them in priorities, and only focus on one at a time. That is fundamentally the way people have made millions of dollars for like 100 years. Okay. So it's literally like I can show you guys, like this was my to-do list yesterday. Okay. Write out my goals, organize them, and then do them one at a time. That like literally every top performer, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, that's what they do. Okay. Literally, like I'm not kidding you. On paper, Warren Buffett will write it out. Okay. You know, so yeah. So the second thing is, you know, write out what the daily wins. So it's essentially what this is what do you need to do to make that big win happen? What are the things that need to happen? So typically that needs to be something that drives a number. This is the fundamentals of building a business. It has to be something that fundamentally drives a number. Okay. For instance, we hired a new sales team recently. Okay. It's actually a team that I've had before. They're really good. And luckily they went through this long training thing and now they're back. So it's awesome. But like, so we're just trying to get them up to speed on some things. So like, so that's a big goal for the month, huge goal. Okay. So our daily wins is our metrics and activities that are focused around getting them launched. And it's, you know, X amount of, I need to listen to X amount of calls. I need to give them X amount of feedback. They need to be on X amount of calls. You know what I mean? So that is super, super important so we have like, our big goal for the month. We have our wins for the day that we need to focus on. And the last thing that's up on my board, and that all entrepreneurs, okay, I'm telling you this, I've seen it in huge companies. I've seen it at, you know, like one of my partners is Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. Like I said, I've spoken with Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank, Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm telling you, I've heard these people talk about this. The last thing is having a scoreboard. Okay. Trust me, it is a proven psychological advantage when you know you're 3 points down and there's 10 minutes left in the game. Okay. Your ability to focus and your ability to work harder, be more determined, like it significantly changes when you know you're behind. Okay. But when you don't see it, because it's easy just to get caught up, right? In content, social media, my phone, alerts, all these things going off, you never even know. You can go days and days and days and not know you didn't make any sales.
Yep.
But see, when you see it every day, you go, damn, man, it's been 3 days. We haven't made any money. That's what every consultant needs to be saying. Instead of saying, well, I learned something cool yesterday. And, you need to understand the scoreboard of your business is around numbers. Okay. It's around how many sales appointments, how many applications did you get in? How many emails did you send out? It's how many social media posts did you make? Whatever. So have a scoreboard that's around numbers, and let those numbers drive what you do and drive your activities. So,
yeah, I think like most of these entrepreneurs, like not knowing, the actual KPIs in terms of like what drives their business is killing them. So like, just like you said, people, we have a lot of these coaches that would focus on things like, content generation, SEO, and all of those types of things, while they're not focusing on like you said, sales, being able to get onto more calls so that they can book more business, so that you can pay someone to actually do the SEO and stuff like that for you, which you shouldn't anyway not be doing, So it's very valuable. So guys, if you're enjoying this and you're enjoying all the gold that James is dropping on us, comment #value so that we also know that you're still with us. Cool.
Awesome. And maybe the last thing that I'll drop here is, I'll drop some big consultant coaching stuff here around offers and offer creation and all this stuff. Okay. So number one, don't get too hung up on offer, and don't make it a science project. Okay. Your offer is basically a series of headlines that represent what your customer wants. Okay. Always remember that. It's a series of headlines. Instead of one big headline on a page, your offer is a couple of bullet points, 3, 4, 5, 6, that it's each one of those is a headline. By the way, your offer is not your features, functions, and benefits. And if that's the way you list it out, that's why no one wants to buy it. It's a series of headlines that represents what they want, not what they need, what they want. Okay. You need to understand that and really think about that. People wake up every day. They need a lot. Like I need a lot of stuff. There's only a couple things I really want. Okay. So you need to understand that about your client, and then you need to create bullet points that really draw out what they want, because they don't want access to 40 or 60 training videos. That sounds like a lot of work. No one wants that. Yep. But what they want is, access to a transformational, 6-week, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like you
basically blueprints. Yeah.
Right. You've taken the same thing, and instead of talking about it as transactionally, you talk about it based on what the client wants. Okay. The other thing about offer is, don't ever convince yourself that like, in order to learn offers, you need to take months of training or go to conferences, which I love all the conferences and stuff like that. And I love the people who train on offer. But like, here's the thing, we all create offers. The biggest people, whether it's Russell Brunson or whoever, we create offers in about 20 to 40 minutes. So if you're spending like weeks or days or feeling like, oh, in order to get my offer right, I need to go spend $10,000 or $5,000 or $3,000 or 1,000, you don't. Okay, like an offer is one of like 100 things that makes a business run. And one of the issues that I think is with entrepreneurism right now, and I'm talking about this a lot more, is there's a subset of coaches out there that are getting people to focus on the minors. They're getting people to major in the minors, and so it gets you like for 6 months or 8 months. It seems interesting, and it seems like you're learning and you're buying stuff, but at the end of 6 months, 8 months, a year, you're still in the same spot because you've focused, you've majored in a minor. Okay. The things you need to major in is your clients, the key metrics that run your scoreboard, your strategy. You know what I mean? Those are the type of things you need to focus on. You need to focus on running your business at a high level. Okay. It's interesting. Even Russell Brunson, he doesn't build funnels anymore. You know, my good buddy, Steve Larson, he doesn't build funnels anymore. You know what I mean? These guys, they major in the majors, which is running their business, focusing on strategy, all the tech side, all that stuff goes to someone else. You don't see like look at all the offers Russell Brunson comes up with. They don't take, 6 weeks to come up with that stuff. They come up with it on the fly, I mean, if you listen to his podcast, that's what they tell you. He's like, hey, man, I was at this event. I had this idea on the flight home. I told my whole team about it. The next day we had a meeting. We launched it in 2 days. Yep. They build a funnel, do all that stuff. Like the offer comes together like in minutes, you know what I mean? Then they build a campaign and all that stuff around it. But like, so I'm just saying really try not to get caught up in the minors. That's how you'll keep your business in the minor leagues, really. So one of the biggest offers, there's a guy named Joel who is an agency consultant, and he's in Denver, and like he has just crushed it. Okay, he saw me speak at J.R. Revis's event. He was doing like 10 or 20 grand a month or something like that, maybe 30 grand a month, I can't remember. And then recently, so he's messaged. I told him all this stuff. I think the guy came up to me, and he's a super, super cool young kid, and at least he looks young. I don't know. You never know nowadays. He might be like same age as me. I have no idea. He looks super young though. But I can't remember what it was, but I think he walked up to me and he handed me like $100 or $1,000 bill or something like that. But it was something in the hallway, and it shocked me because I was like, not that many people walk up to you and just hand you a bill that's like a big bill, right? I think it was like $1,000 bill or something like that. And I remember, I don't even know if I took it from him, but I was like, what is this? And he's like, well, he said something like, I want to pay for an hour of your time or 10 minutes of your time. Like he did some math. He's like, hey, this is worth about 30 minutes of your time or something like that. Can I get that right now? And I was like, are you serious? And then, so I thought it was such a cool gesture, and such a slick marketing gesture, because there were so many people trying to talk to me that he clearly stood out by like handing me this real dollar bill. And so, I can't remember if I took his money, but I sat him down and I told him the structures that I'm about to share right now. Okay. He just came out, him and JR are doing a thing right now. He's doing like a couple $1 million a year now. And largely based on the structures that I told him, and some other things, I'm sure, but the kid's a smart kid. But so I told him my main way to make a lot more money as a consultant was to restructure my deals. And I actually learned this stuff from Jay Abraham, paying a lot of money to work with Jay Abraham at one point. So basically, one of the biggest things you can do, and I kind of saved this to the end just because like if you're a serious consultant, you're still going to be on, right? Is one of the biggest things you can do is to go into deals and say, look, for me to do that, okay, and spend all that time, let's just say building that funnel, running your ads and doing all these things, or giving you the consulting on it or whatever, We used to tell people, we don't even get out of bed unless the deal's worth $100,000 a year. Okay. So we're like, hey, we'll do all this for you. We'll give you a discount. It's like $90,000. And people are like, $90,000. Well, I don't have that money. And we're like, well, if you believe that, your product is good enough to be $1 million product, why would you not spend $90,000, to do this, And so they, at the end of the day, they just say, dude, I don't have $90,000. So we're like, okay, cool. How about this? Okay. How about if we let you, what if we build this all for you at cost? Okay. And so we'll do it at our bare bones cost. And so I'm literally not making any money, but there's a couple stipulations with that. Number one, because I'm doing it at cost, I'm not marking it up and actually charging you for anything. You're just going to pay for my costs. I own the digital assets that I create. I still own that intellectual property, and you can't compete with me. Okay. So I'll build it. We'll use it for your stuff, but it's my funnel, my ads, all that stuff. Okay. Now, time out. Number one, if you're in the consulting space or whatever, what I just said right there, you understand the advantage of you owning it, because that's one of the biggest problems, is that people will jack your stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm. That you build the funnel, you build the ad, they're going to jack it. Okay. We never have people jack our stuff because of this. Okay. So that's huge. So we say, look, we own it. Okay. The second thing is, because we own it, I'm going to rev share the revenue out of it with you. So what I'll do is I'll pay you a significant portion because you've developed your own intellectual property with your products and services and blah, blah, blah. So what if I give you a disproportionate share? What if I give you 70%? I will pay you 70%. They're like, you're going to pay me not 50, you're going to pay me 70? Yeah, sure. I'll hook you up. Okay. Time out. You have to understand what you just did was, now you can get someone, because when they ask, okay, at the end of the day, they're going to say, well, what's the cost? Okay. The cost is usually, for us, we would say it's $10,000. Okay. And then ongoing per month, it might be like, a minimum of $1,000 or $2,000 a month or something like that. But my goal is not to make that $2,000 a month. My goal is to start making $5,000, $8,000 a month in my split. But so like, the thing is, a lot of companies can figure out how to pay $10,000. Okay. They also understand they're getting a website, they're getting funnels, they understand they're getting more than just a plain website. They're getting like a sales machine. Right. So, and so you pitch them that whole idea of a sales machine and how much would it cost you to build a sales team and, hire a call center, all this stuff. Well, we'll do it all for you online. Like, you kind of sell them that whole pitch and say, look, man, my cost is only $10,000. Okay. We wouldn't go below $10,000, but I've had some people like Joel. I still have text messages from Joel. I think he did a $10,000, like a $30,000, like an $8,000 or something like that, like right away, with clients he already knew and he already was doing business with as an agency. Awesome. He just went right back to them with the same with this new structure. And so number one, it's a good cash inflection on the front end. Okay. So you can build your stuff, hire people, whatever, to build it. But number two, if you set up a few deals like that over time, over 6 months, you're going to be making $8,000 to $20,000 a month without even, you know what I mean? Like, it's just coming in as residuals, you know what I mean? And the biggest key in this kind of a deal structure is, number one, you want to work with people who you think you trust. Okay. Because like, if you think the person's sly and you think the person's going to be an issue, always steer away from those. But here's the biggest benefit of this structure. You're collecting the money in your own Stripe account, not them. And you're paying them. It's not the other way around. And so, and when you tell them, hey, I'm going to pay you, versus you say, let's do a 30-70 split. Because before they weren't thinking about giving you a rev share, right? Like, but when you say it this way, now they're going, dude, this guy's going to give me 70%. What an idiot. They literally think that. But you're going, dude, what an idiot. This guy's going to pay me. right? Like, I'm not saying your client's an idiot. I'm not saying that. I'm just being facetious, okay? But that's like the, you know, the thoughts that go through people's head really in real time. You're going, I can't believe they did this. Like every time we would get it, we were saying that. We're like, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they did this. And at the end of the day, they're super happy because they're telling people, dude, I'm getting 70%. This guy's doing all the work. I'm getting 70% of my own damn business, you know? And it's true. Like, it's true. You're cutting them a check for 70%. They feel awesome about it. And you're making a ton of money. I mean, that's how we would get to 200-300 grand on a funnel that would do $1 million. Like we could easily do that. Here's the thing with this structure. Okay. If somebody's listening right now and they have no idea what to do, they live in a foreign country, whatever, all you need to do is go on the internet, find startup companies, look for press releases of companies who just got 500 grand, $1 million, 5 million, 200 grand. Approach them with this structure, because I promise you, those companies, number one, their immediate focus is going to be sales. And if they can sell online, even better. And I promise you this, they would have sold the investor that they're a genius at selling online. They don't know a damn thing about selling online. They've never sold anything online. They're totally clueless on selling online. Like, they have web developers and all that, but they don't know how to sell online. They're going to swear up and down they know how to do it, and they do not know how to do it. Like, it's literally like 95% of these online companies, if you mention online funnel to them, they're going to go, oh yeah, we got that on our website. No, dude, whatever. Like, you know, so you literally, like, if you don't know what to do, call those companies, grab the damn .com secrets book from Russell and explain that to them over the phone, you know, and they're going to think you're a guru. They're going to be like, man, where did this person come from? You know? And then you know, hit them up with, okay, man, I'm going to hook you up, man. It's only 100 grand. What? 100 grand? I can't do that. Okay. All right. Well, let me tell you the other way we can do it. If you make 2 or 3 pitches like that to honestly, if you guys make 2 or 3 pitches like that to a company that's just recently been funded, you will make 100 grand easily in a year, just with pitching it 2 or 3 times. Like, the math on that is, these companies are looking to sell. The only reason you won't is if you literally have no idea how to do what you do. And if you don't know how to do what you do, that's a fundamental problem that you need to fix anyway. Right. So, which is honestly, sadly, that is a problem in digital marketing entrepreneurship, is there's a lack of practitioners. There's a lot of theorists. They know the theory, but they're not a practitioner. And that's okay. If you're a theorist, you need to understand you're a theorist, and you need to go into deals like this. You might need to discount your product or start off or whatever at a lower price, or find the right client so that you can start to learn what you do. You know what I mean? To try to like pull the wool over somebody's eyes is only going to hurt you in the long term. There's nothing wrong with starting out with 1 or 2 clients in the beginning, that, you know, you're basically like beta testing your stuff so that you can learn to perfect it. So, by the way, if somebody has an issue with that or whatever, I won't go into this right now just for time, but look, friends, every company that you know, that's how they start. You know what I mean? They start with like Steve Jobs started selling 50 Apple computers to some little company, 50. Okay. Like, the guy who became a billionaire, like 50. Okay. So, like, don't be afraid to, you know, ClickFunnels, start with a handful of users, right? Like you gotta get like a beta group through and learn from that. And if you don't learn, do another one. If you don't learn, do another one. Like, keep doing that until you feel comfortable with what you do. Okay. So at the end of the day, you're going to stand up with the bat in your hand and everyone looking, and the ball's going to come. So if you're not ready for that, then get in the batting cage. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid to get in the batting cage. Don't be afraid to show up to practice. I mean, that's what we all do. You know what I mean? I'm launching software right now. We're launching it in a beta. We're doing the same thing. You know what I mean? I've done this my whole life. I'm doing still the same cycle over and over and over, you know? So
Awesome, James. Thank you so much, man. So I think our time is also coming close to an end, but just kind of like in closing, I'd love to hear more about kind of what you have going on your side right now. I read a lot of things about 200 students, 100% success rate. So how is that even possible, man? Like, what are you cooking up on your side?
Yeah, so the 100% success rate is with the new thing that we have called Mentor Genius. And I'll drop the link here for anybody who wants to know. And by the way, if you guys sign up with, if you guys hear about this, I want you to use I want you to, there's a place in the form where it asks you how you heard about this. But if you mention coaching, the
Catalyzer.
or Jake. No, I'm sorry, dude. Do you go by Jake's?
Yeah, I might, but it's actually Jock. But I
Jock?
might just to please my American audience.
Yeah. So I just dropped it in our Zoom chat, and I'll drop it here on Facebook as well if you want to drop it in yours.
Awesome.
But if you mention Jock in the place where it says, how did you hear about this? I'll give you guys a 10% off discount just for doing that. Okay, just for mentioning him, just because I appreciate you guys being here on his show and all that stuff. But what this is so over 200 students of paid high ticket coaching clients. We do a big analysis on people who made it through, people who didn't. I'm actually the only person, literally, I don't think Russell and I don't think anybody actually runs an analysis on what their students' success rate is, why they fail, why they succeed, why some succeeded in 3 months, some succeed in, like there's people who make 100 grand in 30 days with us. And there's people who 6 months out haven't made a dime, right? Like, so we do a full analysis on that. The biggest reason comes down to two things. Number one, overwhelm. People don't know what to do in what order. And number two, they can't figure out the tech side of the business. Okay. The tech side ultimately holds back 90 to 95% of people. So I'm going to say this, but I want to preface this by saying I absolutely love Russell Brunson. I love ClickFunnels, and we literally run everything on ClickFunnels personally in our business. But I will tell you this, okay? When Russell started his webinar, where I personally signed up and so many people signed up, and it said, hey, you're going to make $17,000 a day in the next 10 minutes. I'm going to give you everything. If you honestly believed that, you're smoking a pipe dream, okay? Because not one person did. Okay. If you know the person who did, tell me, and I'll pay you $1,000 if you know the person who did. Okay. Literally, if you know the person who did. Okay. No one did that. And I've been a consultant in the company. I've helped them with certain strategies and stuff. Like, I can tell you for sure, no one did that. Okay. And that wasn't necessarily the intention either. Okay. By the way, but, and that wasn't the offer or the promise either. That was just the headline. Okay. But, so the idea that like you're going to build a funnel and this is easy. And I've even heard some other coaches, say like, oh man, like launching $1,000 product and making your first 6 figures, that's easy now. Like everyone does that. Like that's nothing. No, it's not. It's not. If it like, okay, let me put it this way. If it were easy and ClickFunnels, made everybody an instant millionaire or whatever, why do they need to have $20,000 coaching programs to help learn ClickFunnels and how to utilize it? Why would they need that if it's that plug and play, right? Like, and by the way, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be involved in that. Like, I think one funnel away, all that stuff is awesome. But I'm trying to, have clarity on where people are at, what the need in the market is that people get the practicality is they get hung up on the tech side. Okay. For instance, I have people join $30,000 coaching programs and they literally 6 months later don't have a Facebook banner updated. And we do an analysis on that. We're like, hey, what hung you up? you know, to go to Canva, it's free, all this stuff. And honestly, they hate to say it, but they go, man, I got into Canva and I didn't know how to use it. And I'm like, well, don't you know there's YouTube videos and stuff? Well, yeah, but then, you know, I did that and didn't really, still had some questions and just get hung up. And so I just, you know, they just get like shiny object syndrome. They see somebody talking about, hey, make $1 million by sending emails. And all of a sudden they're sending emails, but they don't have a funnel. You know what I mean? Or somebody saying, hey, publish your face off, do a podcast. And all of a sudden they're doing a podcast, but they don't have an offer. Like they don't have anything to sell, you know? And so, so what I started doing was I started saying, hey, what if we took my team who builds amazing funnels? Okay. I mean, our business is a multi-million-dollar business. Okay. And what if we started doing funnels, Facebook banners, graphics, video editing, all those things for people, okay, who are serious? And what if we literally let them be the CEO of their company, so that they never again have to worry about this? I don't have to, because like what we tell them is like, hey man, just go to Upwork and hire these people. Well, I can tell you, man, we've hired like 300 or 400 people in the past 5 years.
Yep.
Only like 1% of those people have made it.
Yep.
We literally have hired hundreds of people overseas, and we let 95% of them go within the first couple of weeks, because, you know, the reality is the market's just huge out there. No one's going to say they don't know how to do that. Hey man, do you know how to build funnels? Yep. Do you know how to do sales copy? Yep. Do you know how to run ads? Yeah, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? No one's like, they're learning. They're doing the same consulting play that a rookie consultant's doing, right? So they're not going to say no. And so this is the reality of it. It's really, really hard to find good people. And so we were like, look, we have people, we have scale, we know where to get more good people. Why don't we start doing this for people? So we've developed this platform called the Mentor Genius platform. We can only do about a handful of people a month right now, just because the scale. And I don't want to get overwhelmed doing it. But if anybody here wants us to do that for them, they can go to the link. And like I said, you'll save 10% off the top, which is hundreds and hundreds of dollars, just by saying that, you know, Jax. That's what I want to say.
Good job, man. That's okay. That was good.
What did you say it was? What?
It's Jock,
dude. I love that name, bro. Jocks. Is it with an S?
You should hear Andrew say my name. The first time he said it, he was Jacques. So, yeah,
but is it Jock or Jocks?
Jock. The
okay.
S is silent, which is weird. Okay. I know.
Dude, that's a cool name to have. You know, Jock is a word in American, right?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's
okay. Yeah,
that's like saying you're a stud, dude.
Some of them, right?
That's a nice name, man. I love that. That's a cool name. I thought I had a cool name, Smiley. Your name's Jock, bro. That's awesome. Oh yeah. But yeah, you guys mentioned Jock or mention the show, and you'll get a significant discount. But of course, people are gonna say like, dude, what's the cost of this? What I can tell you is that we're in the beta, so it's significantly cheaper than it's going to be. It's probably a third right now of where it's going to be when we go big. The other thing is, we've had people say, we've literally had students tell us this. They're like, James, this is what a normal funnel builder would cost us to build one funnel, but we get this entire system. So so that's what I'll say is, you know, it's yeah, and it's not crazy, but it's priced right now where anybody could get in, literally. But yeah, you know, and one of the beauty of the Mentor Genius platform and why it's a software, and the software is in beta, so there's a lot of manual things we're doing right now. So I'm highly involved. Like I am 100% involved in every single step of every single person right now, which is really cool, which circles right back to where I started this conversation of knowing your client and all that stuff. The reason we call it the Mentor or the Genius platform is what people are calling it. It's kind of funny. It's been called the Genius platform is not because of my team or us or anything, but basically what it does is it starts you out at a specific point, and it only asks you one question at a time. and you can't move forward and get into emails or building webinars or building your course until you've done the fundamentals, which don't take long, which, you should be able to get all that stuff done like within a week. So like the fact that it simplifies your life, and that's the thing that I just had so many people just go, James, this is unbelievable. I now know exactly what I need to do. I can unfriend request all these other gurus. I'm not encouraging people to do that. I'm just saying, like, they don't have to like constantly go out on the internet every day searching for what to do. They know exactly what they need to do to be successful. And then they start seeing the progress. They see their logos come up, their branding. They see that branding be consistent in their first funnel, in their next funnel, in their website, in their in their banners. They see it all happen and they're just shocked. They're just like I had one person, I literally had a lady in the group. She like was crying because she's like, James, do you know how long it's been since I've been trying to work on these funnels, do all this stuff? And like now I'm actually seeing it. Like I launched my first one with the Genius platform. And so yeah, so that's what we're doing, is we're trying to make it so that you can be the CEO. You can get reporting from us on what's going on in the back end, how things are being developed. But you can go out there and focus on your clients, on the strategy, and on driving your business forward. So yeah, so I'd encourage everybody to apply and see if you can get in.
Yeah, guys. So James is a real deal. Like, if you want to kind of learn more about him, his group is Never Be Broke Again, and he's also sharing some incredible pieces of content there that will definitely help you on this entrepreneurial journey. And James, again, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing your gift with our audience today. And man, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch up with you guys soon.
See ya.